Hello there, ladies, gentlemen, and deceased. Welcome to my weekly review of The Walking Dead, and unfortunately this will be the last one for a very long time, for perhaps a season or two, but we will be coming back in the fall after I deliver to you my review of The Walking Dead season finale. So, spoiler alert, go no further if you have not yet seen what is unfolded, and if you have, some of you may be coming to this review with your panties in a tight little bunch, and I know we don't know each other that well, but I'm going to be the one to help unbunch that bunch in your panties, so that way we can discuss this objectively, because I have heard from some of you via Twitter already, my phone's been blowing up, that you were not satisfied with this finale. And while I can understand why, there's just a couple things that I want to bring to your attention as we break down the rest of this review. So, number one, I did not think that the governor was going to die this season. I looked at the TV guide just to see how long the episode was going to be, and it was only an hour, so I was like, there's no way he's going down. Something maddeningly crazy is going to happen for him to get taken off his throne, okay? So I kind of already knew that there wasn't going to be the wild, like, Rick governor confrontation going on yet, because there simply was not enough time. And I think they didn't want to rush that part of the story. And so this leaves limitless opportunities for what we're going to see in season 4. So hang on to your britches, it's gonna be okay, we're gonna make it through this, and next season is going to be off the charts. However, it is a little bit difficult for those of us who are expecting some sort of confrontation, which maybe the governor would have survived, but you know, some like crazy clash, so close, big cliffhanger, but we didn't exactly get that. And you know, not every season of every crazy, you know, blood pumping wild show is going to end with a cliffhanger. You know, it kind of ended on a strangely sort of weirdly peaceful, hopeful sort of note, and I think that was a very interesting choice on their part, because you know, we were ready for the ultimate bloodbath, which there was to some extent, not exactly when or how we expected it, but you know, there's a little bit of that in there inevitably. So yes, the governor is still out and about, and there is much to be explored with his side of the territory, Mr. Crazy Pants, and yeah, so we've got pretty much Woodbury is taking it to the prison party. So that, you know, I think that makes a really cool statement about just like Rick and the group's realization about humanity, because they've been hardened to so many things this season, and so now, you know, it's sort of a recognition on their collective part of, you know, the beauty and the miracle of human life. And I know, so fuzzy and warm and wonderful, but you know, I think that's necessary from time to time. You know, they need to be reminded, like Carl, for example, that people are worth it, and that not everyone is necessarily out to get them, and of the persuasion of the governor's sort. So yeah, I think it makes kind of a cool statement of hope in the midst of a very bleak setting, so that's very cool. Of course, there's much more to be broken down, but yeah, you know, I feel you, like with some of you who are kind of disappointed. Like, it was, I'll put it this way, it wasn't what I was expecting. I mean, it never is. I don't know what I expect, because pretty much it never is what I'm expecting, so, but yeah, I think it was a very interesting sort of finale. I wish it had been longer. That's all I'm gonna say, because maybe we could have had a little bit more of a cliffhanger if they'd kind of push that, but I think they really want to be deliberate about this, so I don't know. I'm not watching The Talking Dead tonight, sadly, because I have too much homework, but you know, if they say anything interesting on the Talking Dead about what happened in The Walking Dead, then feel free to let me know in the comments, because I just don't have time to check it out tonight. So allow me to break down everything else for you. So Andrea, I had been wanting her to die for a long time. I shan't skirt around the bush here. I was very frustrated with her pretty much from the get-go. I was not a fan of her piss-poor attitude. And And I was just like, will you die already? I know some of you like her, and that's perfectly fine, but I am just amazed at how her story was prolonged. And I'm not saying that it wasn't necessary or it was pointless, but you know, I was just expecting her to kick the bucket quite a while ago. So of course I had a little tearing, gushing moment of course as soon as Michonne sees her, and it's pretty much like Michonne cries, I cry, Daryl cries, I cry. It's just like our little triangle. It's like it's a triangle, okay? So I'm at the top here, right? And then here in this corner is Michonne, and here this corner is Daryl. And then they make me cry up here. Yeah. So that's my diagram, my visual aid to explain my emotions about these characters. So you know, again, it was kind of like the same way with how I reacted to Daryl's reaction to Merle's death. You know, I was crying not so much because it was Merle that died, even though, you know, I'm gonna miss him in a sort of way. It was just seeing how Daryl took it, and you know, with Michonne, like, she holds those loyalties fierce, and I love that in any character, but especially in just those strong-willed female characters. I put so much of myself and project into them, so it's just especially special to me. Yeah, so you know, I think they got their meaningful moment after all the crap that Andrea pulled on her as a terrible friend. Michonne is still right there, and, you know, she's not going anywhere. And Andrea keeps saying, you know, I didn't want anyone to die, and it's like, well, darling, you picked the wrong person to not want to die. I understand the general theory, but you you willingly kept those blinders on for a long ass time, sweetie, so that was just the way the cookie crumbled. You could have prevented a lot, but you know what? You know what? Rest in peace, my dear. I'm sorry that I had so much loathing for you, and but apparently it didn't really hasten your demise. So that's just my take. You know, and she and Milton kind of share that sort of meaningful moment, but whenever she stopped trying to grab like the little tool that Milton dropped, and she's just like, oh, having like this deep conversation, it's like that's like the epitome of what her relationship with the governor was. It's just like, oh, you know, and it's like she could have hastened the process and perhaps avoided, you know, actually getting her like neck nommed, getting that huge zombie hickey there. I'm just trying to brighten the mood here, as I often do. But anyways, so like every time that she would stop, I'm like, come on, like, go on, like, get your foot and do the business. But you know, so little too late. That was a bummer. The opening scene was very cool with the governor. He is all sorts of kinds of crazy that, well, I expected, but I think, you know, it was interesting how he's kind of talking about, Milton was like, you know, what would your daughter think if she saw you now? And he's like, well, she'd be afraid of me, but at least she would still be alive if I had been the man that I am today back then. So, you know, who knows, maybe we'll see a little bit more into the governor's past next season. You know, they're opening up the kind of time for that. So what else? It was very interesting because when the governor's group got to the prison, you know, they are busting in, ready to have a hoedown throwdown, and then, you know, no one is anywhere to be found, and then Maggie and Glenn are just friggin' tag teaming the whole thing. It's just they are the power duo, like, they are unfreaking stoppable. So I'm very glad that neither of them died. I think that they have lots to offer as always, but I was quite impressed. Like, I thought that they had actually completely left and they were going to try and ambush them from elsewhere, but hey, that works too. In other news, Carl is a serial killer. So speaking of Dexter metaphors, you know, I had like the kind of father-son talk that happened with Rick and Carl. It made me think of Harry and Dexter, you know. It's like, I was half expecting to be like, look, I'm gonna teach you how to kill people, but only bad people. And, you know, not that there's entirely exactly, well, there's always a place for serial killers in the zombie apocalypse, apparently. yeah, so that was kind of an interesting situation. What do you think is going to happen to our dear Carl? Made me think of the llamas with hats. Like, immediately I was like, Carl, that kills people. It's like, dude. I mean, to be fair, the guy who Herschel and Carl and everyone encountered in the woods, he was putting down his weapon awfully slowly. It's like, if I was told to drop my weapon, I would drop my weapon, not delicately in slow motion place the weapon. I mean, it's like, you know, I can understand, but who knows? Who knows? Carl's a serial killer. That's all I gotta say. So I'll have to see if Ghost Lori continues to make any sorts of appearances on the horizon. We'll see about that. What else? Okay, so Tyrese, of course, and his sister, is it? I think his sister. So they end up joining the group, of course, and all that good stuff. So there's almost like not a lot to talk about because there's so much that's up in the air. I mean, basically Milton and Andrea's journey ran its course, and I don't know. I just don't even know. It's like, I don't feel dissatisfied. I just feel confused. You know, just, they took a very different direction with things than I had expected, and, Governor's crazy nuts, so we'll have to see, you know, what exactly is in store for his character. What did you guys think? Were there any of you who absolutely loved it and thought it was the most perfect thing? I know that there's a lot of you that are like, it's not good enough. But I hope that this review is helping your panties to return to their original position. I said like upright positions like the tray tables on airplanes, but that doesn't make any sense. So anyways, that is kind of my breakdown of things. You know, we end on that sort of note of hope, and there is faith in humanity, where, you know, where it's interesting because they start off like they're not helping anybody else, like they are done, just game over, and so it's interesting to kind of see that progression, that there's a move back towards hope. So it'll be interesting to see what's in store next time. Also, I was very surprised at how stable Daryl seemed. I was actually extremely worried about his character, and I thought like he was gonna go off the deep end after Merle's death, but you know, he's always been good at holding it down, but it's like, honey, you gotta, it's your brother. Like, I would not blame you if you went kind of psycho nuts after that experience, but you know, and he's got Carol, and it was just like, Carol and Daryl. It just works. It rhymes. It's meant to be. But yeah, so I was expecting like him to be kind of going off the deep end, but everyone as a whole was kind of, you know, pretty much a cohesive unit. Herschel, of course, is pulling on Rick the "you gotta control your people" move, and I don't blame him. Judith is still around, so of course we didn't have the fate that she met in the comics, which is extremely morbid. Man, so many little things I could say, but it was a very interesting episode. It just feels strange that I was more emotionally like, with the second to last episode, the penultimate one, but you know, it's when Daryl cries, stuff is not okay. So anyways, stuff and things. Let me know what you guys thought of the episode as a whole, of the season as a whole, actually. You know, where would you place this in the context of seasons so far? How'd you like it? What else? Most importantly, what do you anticipate for season 4? Where could they possibly go with this based on how things went this season? Do you think that they might kind of draw from anything in the comics? Any future plot lines that I should know about? So, thank you so much for watching. It has been wonderful to tackle the second half of this season with you guys. I know that Game of Thrones just came out or is coming out. I'm still so behind. I am having the busiest semester of my life, so Breaking Bad I'm working on, and so many things. So I appreciate all of your guys' input for things that I should watch and review for you. I really appreciate that because it shows me that you guys actually want to listen to me talk about things. So I like that. I like that a lot. You guys aren't half bad. So anyways, trying to think of what else to say before I skedaddle here. I probably have already said thank you 20 times, so that's good. I will be back in the fall with more Walking Dead stuff. And I do some Dexter news vlogs. You know, I've done that in the hiatuses, so maybe I'll do that for The Walking Dead. Maybe if you scream loudly enough through the digital world. We'll see. We'll talk. my summer is coming up anyway. So thank you guys. Leave all of the thoughts below and we shall hash out this intriguingness together. Take care, y'all.